What's going on? Welcome back to Freestyle Luns. For this show, I wanted to first start off by saying I'm going to try to do these sort of segments like off the top, um, true to the name of the show, Freestyle Luns. And I realized that on the past two episodes, I have yet to really explain freestyle, at least the way in which I practice it, and it's basically just, making something up off the top of your head, improv, basically, just spontaneous creativity. Most notably, I do that with rap. But I figured why not take that same principle and start to just freestyle my podcasts. I think it's a natural tendency to want to write something down, or at least, I'm a big note taker. On the intro to my other podcast with Sean called What's Current, I remember I had like a two, page long thing of pretty much word for word what the intro was to be recorded so that I could do no thinking and just read and worry about delivery. And to be fair, that was my very first publicly released podcast episode. So sure, I wanted to make sure I got it right. But a big unlock for me and being able to get my thoughts and my content out into the world is going to be becoming more and more comfortable just going off the cuff, letting go of perfectionism. Sure, this episode, might have been a lot better if I planned out what I was going to say, or I had bullet points, or, it made sense in the right order and whatnot. And I'm pretty sure even after I get done recording it and I'm listening back, I'll think of a few things that I should have said or the way I should have said something. And I'm going to do my very, very best not to, re-record or trash this. So if this is what you're hearing right now, I stayed true to it. And, First Take posted the episode. So, I'm not really going to go too much more deeply into that. That is not necessarily the point of the episode. What I want to do today is sort of a new thing that I hadn't even thought I would necessarily, work into the podcast. But so I am big on journaling. So morning journaling. So I journal. I don't journal for a super long time, but it has been part of my morning routine. I'm a big morning routine guy as well, so I'm sure I'll dive more into those things. I love talking about routine and things like that. But as far as journaling goes, there's this thing I started doing a couple years ago. So I would say maybe 2-3 years ago, and just I haven't been consistent with it. Like I would just do it occasionally here and there. And that I would call 20 in 10. And so that was basically what it means is 20 bars in 10 minutes. So what I do is I pull up the stopwatch on my computer. I've got my, note document in front of me. I press play and I just basically songwrite. I basically freestyle write. I don't know if that really is a thing or if that makes sense, but I just pretty much write without judgment or editing for 10 minutes straight. And I'm pretty much just writing the whole time. There's very few moments that I really pause for any more than a few seconds, other than, I've just woken up 15 minutes ago and I'm still waking up, because typically I am doing that at about 7 a.m. An hour into my day, I am creating because I like to get, some creative accomplishment under my belt early in the day, before I go off to the 9 to 5, so that I can feel better about turning my full attention to work while I'm at work, knowing that, I'm taking the incremental steps, toward my creative pursuits, practicing consistency, and just showing up regardless, similar to the skills I really want to hone and develop for you guys in this podcast to, bring content that I feel you guys will benefit from and find value in on a consistent basis. So, it's actually something I've done for about a week straight now. For the record, it's actually 7:30 p.m. right now. So I don't know. I'll be experimenting with kind of the different times of the day that I create, because I definitely have, thoughts and take interest in that sort of thing too, like kind of aligning activities, in creative activities or just general tasks, aligning those with different parts of the day based on when you are most primed for those certain things, or how can you most efficiently use your time based on your natural human modes that fluctuate throughout the day. But the 20 and 10 I've been doing for about a week straight now, so I know that's nothing crazy. I mean, I do morning journaling at least about a page, or a short page sometimes. Sometimes I just show up and write a few sentences just to show up. But I do that pretty consistently. I would say I do that about at least maybe 6 days a week. But the 20 and 10 thing I hadn't really done for a while. And one of the biggest blocks to my, I guess, output from a musical standpoint, especially, is the fact that, quite frankly, I loathe songwriting. At least as of right now, as of in this moment. I'm working on my relationship with songwriting, but as of August 18th, 2022, the fact I have written even for 10 minutes for a week straight, I mean, that's a huge accomplishment for me. And I think the reason that I loathe it so much is really a combination of things. But for me, it is hard to sit down and, spend, let's say, an hour or 2 hours of time working on something that I might not get very far on. It's a lot more appealing and attractive to me to go after something that, if I have a 2 hour block of time, do something that I have a pretty much defined success rate in sight. You can estimate for the more I guess robotic tasks or whatever things you got to do. That 2 hours of work is going to equal this. There's no question about it. But when it comes to creating, you don't know what you're going to get out of that 2 hours. And oftentimes, some of my lower moments writing songs, which I've written over 100 songs that I've released to date. So it's not new territory per se. I've written plenty of songs in my time, but there's been moments where it's like, I'll look at the clock, realize 45 minutes has passed, and like I've only written 4 bars or 4 lines, if you will, of a song or of rhymes. And that's like this super discouraging because, naturally, I think as humans, we want to quantify things. We're all about the numbers, and we think we get caught in the trap of thinking that numbers tell the story. And that goes for a lot of different arenas of life, but, even for me, knowing that that's not the case, I still can't help but look at the 45 minutes that have passed, look at the 4 lines I've written that I've just been struggling on for so long for whatever reason, perfectionism being one of them, of course, and just feeling like, man, that was just, I could have been freestyling for 45 minutes. You know what I mean? Like I could have recorded, 8 different freestyles in that time. And that's so much more content. For example, you could argue that I am resisting the songwriting right now because here I have, spent 9 minutes talking on this recording, but I have an exactly 9-minute and counting piece of content. So it's like I'm getting a direct reflection, I guess, of a, output for my input. It's like a perfectly inverse relationship. I don't know if the terminology I'm using fits, but anyway, it's much harder to go into something when the, success, or I guess the progress, can't be measured. The truth is, though, I believe that 45 minutes of time was really like lifting in the gym, lifting my songwriting, creative, musical muscles. Because even though I didn't have a lot to show for it, like you're not going to have a lot to show for a 45-minute workout right after the workout. But, that whole time it's like I was working my brain and exercising the parts of my brain applicable to songwriting and to creating, even if I wasn't producing output, much of the time. Really, that effort and that work, or that time, it's not that time was all for nothing. Really, that effort, is being stored and is being saved and going towards something underground. It's like trees that have these super deep, complex root systems, that have to build and form and develop before they can even break ground. And then that's when the tree shoots up after all that work that came before it. So those are underground moments, I guess you could say, for me, is that it's a lot harder for me to dedicate time to underground moments, underground creativity, things that I know are just, parts of the process that are necessary for whatever I'm working on, but that I won't get an immediate reward or completion of. So, it's patience. I mean, it really is. And it's super important for me to not allow the fear of lack of quote unquote productivity to keep me from doing the work, because really it's the showing up and the consistency and things like that are going to allow me to, glide through those moments easier and easier over time. I can't just be discouraged by those moments, of trying to create a song, and then not do it because I didn't like the experience of the most recent time, because you don't know where it was going. It's like that meme or that picture of, these two different people that are, mining for gold. And one they show is, turning around after having dug such a deep hole, and the gold is right on the other side. If he would have just kept chiseling for another, moment, he would have gotten there. And meanwhile, there's someone above him who's far behind where he was, but he's still going after it. And so, that's one thing that's super important for me. So, anyway, I will expand on that because I do feel like, obviously, clearly that was a freestyle topic that just sort of came to be and develop as I wanted to show you the 20 and 10, like about 10 minutes ago. And you guys might have already forgotten about it. But at this point, I do want to let you hear some recorded 20 and 10s. So I'm either going to layer it right here in this episode or put them as separate segments. I don't really know. But anyways, hope you guys enjoy both some new and old flashback recorded 20 and 10s. Let me know what you think about them. Freestyle Lawns. Be back again soon. Peace.